What do you get for somebody who's super coffee obsessed, but you know that they have like, you know, a lot of coffee already? More coffee. Easy answer. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. In this video, we have a new set. Look at this. Much, much, much better. I hope you like it. We're still working it out. We're still making it more functional. But yeah, I told you it was going to make it look better. So I've been a bit busy little bee. I got a chance to get the Mill City Roasters Super Rare Brew box this holiday season. And this was a nice little gift from them. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to be testing and tasting a pink Bourbon, a yellow Bourbon, a Geisha Marcela, and then a Java El Eden. We're going to go through this. We're going to cup it. I'll tell you what my thoughts are about it. And if you guys got the brew box as well, we can kind of compare notes. And if you don't know what this is, there's a link in the description and you can check it out. I got this last week. It's been like a full week already, almost a full week of when I got this, and I couldn't cup it right away because I wanted to do it with this new set that I was planning on doing. So Mill City Roasters, they are a green importer, but mostly they are a roasting manufacturer. So a roasting machine manufacturer. So they make my Mill City Roaster 1 kilogram machine. Let's do it. Let's go. Once we get some caffeine in our system, I know I'm going to feel a lot more energy. All right. So when setting up for cupping, I'm going to show you guys what I'm currently doing. It's always changing. And the reason why it's always changing is because I want more efficiency. I want things to be really systemized and kind of work towards me just actually tasting the coffee and itself, right? So I'm always trying to make that process efficient. And a lot of times I'm really just trying to model who I see professionally over at Clutch or at Mill City or whatever. This is a cupping experience. I'm going to trust that there's no defects or anything in these coffees, so I'm just going to do 1 cup per coffee. I'm also beginning to be using my own recipe of quote-unquote third weight water, not sponsored. The recipe for that, you can find it on one of my videos. The recipe I got from Whole Latte Love. So for example, this is a mix of that water. So I'm going to go put this in my fast pour kettle, and I'll be right back. So while that is brewing, we're going to measure out our coffee right here, and then grind it and get it ready. It's easier to just have like a zeroed out cup right here on the scale already. The way that I like to put things on the table, I model after how Clutch did it. So typically I will put more of the non-exciting ones here, right? Or sort of like the non-crazy ones, I guess, or experimental or whatever. And I'll put the experimental or the ones that I know that will be kind of crazy and experimental at the end so that I end on a good note always. And that's the Clutch model. So I'm guessing, okay, let's put Java here because I feel like just from my own experience in coffee, Java is more of a muted, earthier, toned coffee. So I want to put that in the beginning. Next, I think I'll put a yellow Bourbon, a pink Bourbon, and then a GESHA. Yellow Bourbon versus pink Bourbon. I see a lot of like wine kind of notes that come from pink Bourbon. I get a lot of really exciting, very juicy, very exciting coffees from the pink Bourbon. And the yellow Bourbon is a little bit, still very good, but maybe not as exciting. So I'm putting that one second. It doesn't matter. Like, it would be really cool if I didn't know what these were and I could just turn them, but let's just have fun with it, taste it, go like, oh, okay, this tastes like Java, this is pink Bourbon, this is a Geisha. So we're gonna measure it out. Wow, this looks really dark. The beans are very oblong. I'll get a shot of this for you guys so you can see. All of my cuppings have been 12 grams. Oh, and you'll need to burn or I guess prime the grinder every time you switch coffees. I just put a couple in there. I don't want to waste too much. Color across the board is not uniform. So some are darker than others and some are more matte and definitely some are more oily. So that's interesting. But they're all pretty oblong in shape. Long bean. Okay. So that'll go back on the scale. And this is And then a little bit in here. Oops. That's called shrinkage. Prime or burn. These look lighter in roast level. Oh, wow, this looks quite a bit darker. Okay, cool. So the GESHA they roasted to like a medium level. So you can kind of tell, like, you guys don't have this top down picture. I'll give you a picture. I'll take a picture of it. That's why I have my camera here. No card in the camera. That's why I have the cards here. This is a really small room, so I'm really, you know, maximizing it. That's kind of a good feeling because you know you're making the most out of what you have and in a way trying really not to be wasteful, right? And I'm really just trying to get you guys to see the color of the grind. You know, Mill City Roasters, they're like, I'm just really grateful to them. So whenever I can give back in a way by making content and shouting them out, I love to do that stuff. I love giving back to companies and people who support me, who are good people, who advocate for individuality, experimentation, things like that. Being on the side of the roaster. And I think they do that really well, and empowering you to make choices, to make your own choices. I think that's really important. So yeah, whenever I feel that and I see that in your action, you know, I want to give back and I want to do my best on what my end. And I think the best that I could do is share. So then we have other cups here for water, like this. Okay, we've got our multiple very cool cupping spoons. I'm partial to this gold one because it's gold. But I just have this. I added this to the collection. Shout out to my newest green supplier, green coffee supplier, Hasea Coffee. They're right next to me. I think I'll be going to them for a lot of stuff. Not everything maybe, but a lot of stuff just because they're so close to me. And they've really supported my journey as a roaster as well. Really hands-on, you know, supporting of what I'm trying to do over here and with me trying to learn and everything. So I want to give back to them as well. First thing we do before we put any waters, we want to smell all of them. And we always start from here, from this side of the table. If there were more coffees, we would start here and go around and do that way. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. In a professional setting, they'd have 5 of these. Okay. Barbecue, savory, meaty, soy sauce. You'll get that a lot from Java, this kind of bean. Off-putting for me, not my favorite. Very savory as well. There's like a tomato element to it. And you want to agitate the coffee. Super meaty as well. These are turning out to be, they're darker. They're a lot darker. Oh, wow. Okay. If I didn't know, I'd be like, oh, this is something special. Right away, a lot of these coffees smell like any typical medium to dark roast for me in my preference, right? This GESHA, I know it's a GESHA. It smells like a GESHA, but there is a hint of it being roasted a little bit longer. I think Roasters Brew Box, a curated coffee tasting. Colombia Exploration. Colombia has a really exciting array of all kinds of different experimental processes. The last time I talked about Colombia this much was with coffee net samples, and I was doing coffee net and they were giving me all kinds of really cool experimental lactic acid fermentation, 120 days, things like this, right? Really exciting stuff, all really tasty. Showcases the variety of a single coffee producing country. Yep. 4 distinctly different coffees with flavors emphasized by their processing methods allow us to explore the diversity of flavor found in coffees from Colombia. Enjoy these coffees in a cupping at brew tasting or individually. Yeah, as I'm trying to cup them here, I'm trying to do that in like a very kind of like nitpicky. I may even score them myself. That'll be fun. I'll score these. And if you have this brew box, you can score it yourself and be like, oh, this is what Meg thinks 88 points is or something. Because, you know, I score kind of generously. Yeah, they all look a little bit darker than I, you know, am used to, I think, in like a typical cupping situation. And what I'm tasting here in the cup, it will be different than when I'm brewing it. And then how I'm brewing it. Is it espresso? Is it pour over? Is it AeroPress? Is it French press? Is it with milk? Things like that, right? There's so many cool ways that you can experience and share in the world of coffee. And so we're just doing one of them, right? And this is how I would do it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be back in the lab doing stuff, because for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks, it's just been, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. Okay, and if we're gonna score it, we should score it. I have like an official scoring sheet, but I think I'll save those papers. I'll put it all in here in my little cupping log. So like I said, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll name them like that. So what did we say the aroma was here? I thought it was super meat, savory, soy sauce, salty. I'm gonna give that a 7. Not as roasty, definitely muted. That gets a 7 1/4. Another thing I learned in Klatch was the first one that you kind of score should now become like the measuring stick for the rest of the coffees. It just helps you kind of like organize your thoughts in your scoring. Otherwise, you'll be really all over the place, which I was when I was there. I was like, I don't freaking know. I have no, you know, base at which I'm even scoring this from. So that's how you could do it at home, is like you score your first one and then you go to the second one and you go, is it better or worse than the last? And then this one you go, is it better or worse than the first? Things like that, okay? I thought that was super helpful, because I was just like, do I just, you know, I'm just judging this guy alone? It's like, no, you're judging all of them against each other on the table. And that's why you wouldn't put like, I mean, typically you wouldn't put something very exciting in what you think is going to blow all the rest out of the water, because all the rest will taste crappier or not as good compared to that one. You know, you kind of ruin your palate in a way. If you're really being meticulous, if you're really scoring something, right? Here, we're just trying to have a good time. So I'm not trying to act like I'm not trying to have a good time. I'm just trying to make this educational. Number 3, I thought it was definitely better than the first, so it should score higher. So it should be like a 7.5. I'm giving it a solid 8. Now I'm smelling this. I should have scored it when I first smelled it, because that's when the most of the aroma chemicals or whatever it is, the aroma smells and everything were the strongest. So I'm getting kind of like the second or tail end of that aroma or smell. So, you know, again, we're not perfect. I'm making content, you know, we're having a good time. I could do it again. I'm going to give that a solid 8. Now we can go get the water and then let these guys brew for 4 minutes. Klatch taught me that if you go off center of the cup a little bit, you pour very aggressively, you get that coffee to swirl, you should be able to get all the grounds kind of covered without having to, like, you know, oh. All right, I think we can break the crust now. Clear. Well, the aroma is way better than the dry. Move that just in case. And we knock the table a little bit just to get the water off. So again, we're only 2 minutes in after breaking the crust. It's too hot to taste. We have to wait, I like to wait like almost 8-10 minutes even. And then I start tasting it. That's when a bunch of the flavors are gonna come out, because it's not so hot, right? This is something I learned from Lauren. Lauren always says temperature, mass, flavor. So whether it's too hot or too cold, you're not gonna be able to taste everything. On the aroma, which is the wet fragrance, this smelled better than it did dry. Interesting, okay. That's just something to mentally make a note of. This smelled like grape nuts. This smelled like grape nuts. This smelled like a geisha, which is like, you get that wine little element. And a cool thing that I saw Klatch do was like, huh, the beans are so different. Like, what if we separated all the really dark ones from all the really light ones, brew that, cup that, see what that tastes like, and see if there's any difference. You know, if the color change is actually doing something to flavor. And then what they would do with that information is, I guess, is go back to the, you know, the farmer and be like, hey, can we make them all like this one? Like, what is this? Why is that? It's a blend, or what are you doing over there, right? Because we love it, or we like it, or we don't like it, whatever. But it's all about trying to find out what's the best coffee. So those are little fun ways that I think, you know, you find out how to produce better and better coffee on the cupping table. We go in with the flavor. It's been 7 minutes. That's a good time to go in. What the heck? What the heck? All right, why what the heck? Okay, I'll talk you through my thought process. So I'm smelling it. It smells roasty, smells meaty, smells unfavorable to me. I do the wet smell, which is the aroma. It smells better, you know. I could smell some acidity in the cup. I'm like, cool. It's not just a roasty hot mess. Not that I was expecting that, but I was just like, the smell was off-putting. Okay, and that's what makes it fun, because on the first sip here, it's 7 minutes, almost 8 minutes. It's interesting. It definitely has like a dark body, and yet has this burst of acidity and fruit. The acidity is not bright like a lemon or something like that. I would say it's more on the side of grapefruit. It's good. I'd imagine this would be really good as an espresso, because the body is there, the sweetness is there, and for a little extra interesting thing for the person who loves coffee and who drinks, you know, light roasted coffee but enjoys coffee on all realms. That's really cool. That's really interesting. Interesting. Hey. Java El Eden, a natural process. Cool, I'm excited. All right, this is the yellow Bourbon, right? Okay, yeah. Tastes like a yellow Bourbon. I'd say mellow, chill, cinnamon, vanilla, like an orange marmalade. I'm not writing any of this down. It's on video. The cinnamon and clove is really interesting. It really comes through there. I gotta write these down. This is funny. Go back to one. Let's see. There's that wine element too in there. It's tasting really good. What the heck? Wine element. Oh wow. It's like it's like eating chocolate with wine. Chocolate with wine. What the heck? Showed me, huh? They're like, oh yeah, you won't put me first? Cinnamon, vanilla. Not my favorite compared to one. It's not as good as one. Very interesting. To me, that's my preference, okay? This tastes like my kitty whiskey, actually. And kitty whiskey was a blend of Vietnam and Ecuador. It has this great body, a subtle acidity. We're at 12 minutes. At 12 minutes, that's when you start. I think that's like peak flavor, peak time for you to taste, for you to write stuff down, for you to really like evaluate and be quick. Yeah, the acidity is very soft. So overall, good body though. Good body. Definitely balanced. Definitely like a crowd pleaser. When we see the words GESHA, the word GESHA or geisha, same thing. Kind of same thing. I don't know. It's a GESHA. You know, I think it's a nomenclature thing. So geisha, typically coming from Panama. GESHA is sort of like trying to be like geisha, Maybe it's a nomenclature thing because it's coming out of Colombia, so they don't want to mix it up. Maybe it's like a whiskey with the E, whiskey with no E sort of thing. Whiskey with no E comes from Scotland and Japan. Whiskey with an E comes from America and beyond. Maybe it's something like that, all right? I'm not sure. You can correct me in the comments. All right, GESHA, let's check it out. GESHA. Supposedly, my brain is going to tell me this is going to be the best one on the table. Let's see. Yep. Really tropical fruits come to mind. It's yellows and light oranges and light reds, sort of that starburst combo when you get all the fruits. Not so bright as like a lemon. No, more like the juicier, kind of sweeter fruits. So not in that sense, but definitely the most interesting one on the table. The more favorable one for me because it's lighter. But most people will like this, I think. If you're like a casual coffee drinker, you'll like that this has more body. You'll like that there's a chocolate element in the Java. Even your brain, because you're a typical consumer of coffee. Maybe you go to Starbucks, you go to Pete's Coffee. Your brain will tell you Java is better because you know it. You know that name. Maybe you don't know geisha yet, right? And you'll be like, oh, this is, you know, typically when I hear other people, when they taste coffee, they'll be like, this is sour, or this is thin, or it's like tea. Whereas this geisha, I think, might command a higher price point. Yeah, just a lot more delicate, a lot more nuance, and definitely just roasted a little bit longer. So I wonder, like Mill City Roasters said, this is how these coffees are best enjoyed, right? We don't know what they taste like. Lighter than this, darker than this. We don't care about darker, honestly. Lighter than this. And I think it's because they kind of like me, like body in their coffee. That's my assumption. I have no idea. All right. I love body in my coffee. I want to feel like I'm drinking coffee. I don't want to feel like I'm drinking tea. But this one, still really nice body. Still coating your mouth. Body meaning like, how does it feel in the mouth? Like what weight does it take on when it's in your mouth? Is it like gone quickly? Does it sit there? Does it settle there? Is it like is it oily? Is it coating, right? Or is it just gone? Or is it like an effervescent, you know, spritz? That's body. That's mouthfeel, okay? And most of the time, coffee drinkers, we like good body. And if you add milk or sugar and stuff like that, you could definitely do that to these. And I think you'd be cool. I would really urge you to try these types of coffees that are having a little bit more excitement in them without the cream and sugar, so you don't muddle them, you don't mask them, and you can really taste what the coffee is offering you. And try to do that with all coffees that you buy. You know, if it's specialty coffee, try to see like, you know, what that coffee is trying to say to you. You know, try to listen and be like, what are you trying to say? Tell me. And you might discover something new. And whenever you can find something new, I think it brings just a little bit more joy into your life. You know, if you're stuck doing the same old thing all the time, you get kind of bored. And boredom is death to me. Anytime that you can introduce into your life and welcome in new things, learn new things, I feel like it's a good time. It's joyous. Chase the joy. That was so fun. Thanks so much for hanging out in the new set. Check out the link in the description for this Roasters brew box. That was so fun. Thank you so much to Mill City Roasters for sending this to me. What I said on here is not sponsored. This was a pure gift, and this was my pure gift back to you to just make content and go ham and talk about all the things that I love. And be excited about, you know, purchasing new coffees and trying something new for the first time and being like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. You know, like I was doing with this. I was assuming the hell out of this coffee and saying, hey, it's going to be dark. I don't know, whatever. Let's put it first because I want to end on a good note. It ended up being like the second best coffee on the table. Isn't that cool? So it's really cool when I get to surprise myself. And wouldn't that be cool if you get to surprise yourself? Joyous. Be curious. That's what we say here. So whenever you can be curious, find something new, it's a good time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Links are in the description. We'll see you in the next one. Bye. Recommendations on how to drink these. I would be really interested in this Java as a single origin espresso. I think it'd be really good. I think I'll try it today. These two would be great as, I think, like a French press or an AeroPress or any kind of immersion. I think to get a little bit more flavor out of it, I think I would do a, not a pour over, not something delicate. I would want something a little bit more rich if I was making, if I was putting milk and sugar in my coffee. That could be cool for these. I think they work well. Or just drink it plain, you know, pour over style. Cool. And then the GESHA for sure would be a pour over. I would be on my game about brewing this. So we're getting a little bit here. And the cherry, the strawberry, the like a yellow starburst sort of thing coming through now. All right, I'm gonna go edit now.